The college football experience, Georgia State Panthers 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football best ball. They just announced that, so check it all out. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, Rhythm's college football and NFL projections are now live. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
This is Jerry Glanville, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Georgia State Panthers 2024 season preview episode. Always a good time to talk Georgia State Panther football. And it comes at a pivotal time, I would say, with this program is not that old. And then you look at, I know we just did the Coastal Carolina preview. By the way, youtube.com/the college experience. Go listen to it as we go through all 134 teams in the FBS with an hour-long podcast for every single team in the land, just like we do each and every year. So hop on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. They're similar in a way. The team we just did as far as Coastal Carolina, who started their program, I believe for Coastal, it was 2003. So this season for Coastal will be the 21st year of that program. Whereas Georgia State, it was 2010. All right. And they've already been to 5 bowls. Excited to talk about that, or actually 6 bowls. So yeah, good things are happening there in Atlanta, Center Park Stadium. They got things rolling. But before I tell you all this good stuff about Georgia State, because we're going to break down the offense, defense, special teams, literally everything about this team moving into the new season here. But you're probably wondering who the hell you're listening to, and that is 100% fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink, and I don't have stress, and I'm healthy.
I'm always healthy when I'm talking Sunbelt football. And I love these schools that just up and started their football program. All right? I love what they got going. You want to talk about sleeping giants? Look, I know Georgia, the Bulldogs are killing it in college football lately. I know Georgia Tech won a national championship in 90. But Atlanta's got room for more than one team. All right? You go to Atlanta, you see some phenomenal, the state of Georgia, the high school talent in the state of Georgia, let alone what you're surrounded around, is phenomenal. So, you just got, the potential really is through the roof with this program, in my opinion. So, yeah, become a fan, before you want to say 20 years from now that you were a Georgia State fan back then. I am joined by my co-host. That you've heard him on the NBA Gambling Podcast. You've also heard him on the MLB Gambling Podcast. As I know, not the greatest time to talk Atlanta Brave baseball with the with the way I watched that Rocky game the other night. But still, even with that, he also covers college football. He writes a lot about it. SportsGamblingPodcast.com. Give it up for Latte Smith. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. I'm a big fan of Georgia State. I think I told you behind the scenes, one of my friends around here was playing there. Visited their campus a lot. Really good really good area, obviously filled with talent and a lot of other things. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to breaking down. They got great coaching hires, but just might have been, like not at the time that they wanted to actually make the hires. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the team and seeing them progress.
Yeah, Sean Elliott went to I think 5 bowl games. He was actually like, pretty decent at Georgia State. They won at Tennessee. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but he left the program to become the tight ends coach at South Carolina. And late into like spring practice has already started. Yeah. So then, it reminded me in a way of when Mel Tucker left Colorado. Colorado didn't know. They didn't even they were like shell shocked because it was 1 year in. They'd hired him from Georgia, and he left like after the coaching cycle had gone through. So like they didn't have. they were, but sometimes that can be a blessing in disguise. Now it didn't work out for Carl Durrell at Colorado, but Del McGee played corner at Auburn. So very familiar, played professionally also. I always think sometimes that stuff matters. I know sometimes they'll say, well, a great player doesn't make a great coach, and they'll cite, I don't know, Willis Reed or something, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, but still, I do think there's something about identifying, with a guy that's done it before, that played, at the highest level in the NFL. So, I think that's encouraging. And also the fact that, they hire him, and this guy won a couple national championships at Georgia, and he happened to just absolutely kill it at Carver Columbus High School, where he went 85-21. And by the way, I should mention that he did go 1-0 at Georgia Southern, won a bowl game at Georgia Southern after Willie Fritz took a job. So, I considering the hand they were dealt, I think it's good hire. Am I crazy?
No, I love the hires. I love the hires long term. I mean, obviously, to touch on a little bit of what you were saying about the player turning coach, I think it's beneficial to on many levels, as far as players gravitating towards them because they actually did play the game. He played at the highest level in high school, college, and the SEC, and he played in the pros. So kids can look at that, and they can kind of, obviously, relationships open more doors these days. So, or actually in any form of business, no matter what you're in, relationships open doors. And he has the ability to be able to connect with more, people in front offices in different spaces. He's been in the SEC under Kirby. So, I mean, who knows what kind of doors he can open. So I think that is beneficiary to these kids. And I think they look up to it, especially if you're a cornerback, you get to learn from him. Similar to what,
Sorry.
Now you get similar,
yeah.
Similar to what Deion gets to do with those defensive backs. You get to learn from him, pick his brain, on top of having a gateway to kind of get to the next level. So yeah, I think long term, great hire. I just don't know about this year. Kind of dealt the bad hand on both sides. So it's a true year zero for Del McGee. But I'm rooting for him now.
Well, especially after spring practice already started. It's right. At that point, do you just come in and kind of run what they're doing and just say, this is a mulligan for this, this first year, he still brought in his OC, DC and everything, which makes you think you reset everything. But look, I mean, like I said, he did play the game, and I agree with you. There's this, you want to talk about being able to go into someone's living room and connect, what I mean? I feel like that is a great virtue that Del McGee has that a lot of coaches don't have. And then you look at the guys he coached under. Gus Malzahn, national championship, won a national championship. Willie Fritz, I think, won a national championship on the FCS, but he's a damn good coach, as you saw at Tulane. Mark Richt was a damn good coach. I know the only problem with Mark Richt is Kirby Smart fouled him. I mean, talk about timing, man. But all four of those are good football coaches in my mind. The offensive coordinator is Jeff. And that's another thing. Dell knows ball. Brings in Jim Chaney. He's only been coaching for about 1,000 years. As the OC, he was the OC of Georgia not that far, but not that like a couple of years ago. I feel like, or no, not Georgia, Tennessee, right? Tennessee. He was the offensive coordinator of
before Hypo got there.
Yeah. And then Kevin Scher on the defensive side of the ball, who was co-DC at Georgia Tech. So, okay. I mean, we don't have many examples of them going and just grabbing a coach. Like I said, Carl Durrell at Colorado. Because Bob Stoops retired like in May, I feel like, but Lincoln Riley had been with the team before. So it's like, I think that's a completely different scenario than going out and getting someone and walking in. So I am weary of the timing specifically for this season, but I do think you're right that they probably got the guy that can take Georgia State to the next plateau, which I think, let's talk about this. I know this is not necessarily what we were planning on, but like, if you're evaluating all the Sun Belt teams, Georgia State should be winning Sun Belt championships, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with the pedigree that with the type of players that he's capable of bringing in. I mean, he can literally sit down and rattle off players that he's coached and helped develop. And I was reading that he was a real big part of the recruiting, pitches as well to some of those high tier guys. So yeah, man, I think that the talent obviously is in Atlanta. In that area, in that state of Georgia. So I think that, give him 3 years to kind of get things going. I think they'll be competing by year 4.
Yeah. I just feel like that program in general, you have a leg up. Like, look, I like all those other spots. I've been to a lot of those schools. I mean, or at least the cities, not necessarily the campuses. And it's like, okay, but Atlanta's Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like it sells itself. Like, as compared, like Statesboro, Georgia, no disrespect. I just feel like, you're recruiting a player and you're like, man, am I going to like it down here? Whereas like Atlanta, it's like, no, I can have Atlanta is going to be, it's a huge city. So I think that's an advantage that they have that a lot of other Sun Belt teams don't have. They're not in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So I think that is why they should compete for Sun Belt championships left and right. And I think Del McGee might be the guy to get the program on that fast track to doing that potentially. Folks, want to tell you, you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And I want to tell you that right now, the Sports Gambling Podcast just launched their 32-team NFL team preview series. No matter how cockamamie that new kickoff is that they're doing, that they're trying to just shove down our throat, even though no one wanted it. There's still money to be made in the National Football League. All right. And look, they're giving out a $500 circa future for listeners. So get on over there and check out the Sports Gambling Podcast, plus the EPL return. So make sure to check out the Soccer Gambling Podcast and the Premier League Gambling Podcast for your footy fix there. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. Look, this next part, we do this exercise. This program has been around only in the FBS ranks. Remember, when they started out, they were in the FCS for a couple years. So there's not a lot of meat on the bone for the exercise that I do for, biggest program in school or biggest win in school history. I think it's pretty obvious. So, and by the way, the retro logo, I'm glad you made a change. I'm just going to say that. Where you at with the retro logo here?
I'm love anything retro, man. Anything retro that's classic. I'm down for it. I'm down for it. Are they going to switch? Are they going to switch
better than that one?
Yeah, I like that one better. I like this one better.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, I like this one better. Yeah.
There you go. Look, they beat Tennessee at Tennessee. That's a phenomenal win to forever have with your program. But let's build on that. So that's clearly the one. There's no debate in this one. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about this offense though, because, and this is going to be the hardest thing to compare. Is like, obviously you brought in new coaches mid-spring practices, and then you're not returning much production, but 64th in scoring offense per game, 27.2 points per game a season ago. That was 9th best in the Sun Belt. 55th in yards. That was 8th best in the Sun Belt. 91st in passing, and the top rushing team in the Sun Belt. So I know thing to say, hey, okay. I mean, do those stats matter that much for this year's team to you?
Nope, I don't think anything matters stats wise for this team, because you're looking at a whole new regime. We have no real like data to kind of suggest of what we can expect, or what's going to be like forecasted for the future. So I think anything like from last year is pretty much irrelevant to a sense, except for the pieces, some of the pieces that they have coming back, like those running back, like that running back room, which is like probably one of the strongest or more underrated rooms in the G5 to me.
Yeah, so I put 4 returning starters, but that's kind of a lie because of it's just I'm going off of what is projected. And what I saw projected was that Savion Wilkinson would start at the running back spot, but there's so many good running backs in this running back room. You got Freddie Brock, Savion Wilkerson, Jordan Ford, and CJ Beasley. They were the top rushing team in the Sun Belt a year ago. I know that they don't return anybody on the offensive line. I mean, Trevor Timmons is the only guy, and I just feel like, okay, I mean, if they were the top rushing team, though, are the backups good? But damn, if they don't have a stable of running backs that are I think could really, I mean, we've previewed a lot of the Sun Belt teams, me and you. I feel like they're pretty damn deep, if not the deepest that we've talked about in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, and we just talked about how big of a loss that CJ Beasley was to that Coastal team.
Yeah. So, and I'm surprised on the depth chart that Savion Wilkerson, who was at Colorado, is projected by Phil Steele, who will be on the show Wednesday, by the way. But I'm surprised that he had Savion Wilkerson. I mean, Wilkerson was solid at Colorado, and he was a transfer before that. I believe he was at Jackson State, but I kind of thought that it would be Brock, Beasley, or Ford ahead of them in a way.
Brock had almost 300 in that bowl game.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess different coaches though. So, I mean, maybe there's certain, maybe he's not as good out the backfield as Wilkerson. I have no idea maybe Wilkerson picks up the blitz better. I have no idea. Maybe that's just I don't know. But I can tell you this, they have a good problem when you have 4 good running backs. Yeah. The receivers are back. They were not a great passing team a season ago. Their tight end, Amon Green, is back. It's the O-line and the quarterback that I think you say, okay, what is going on here? Kicker Braden McAllister also back as well. In the portal, they did lose. Well, Bryson Harrison made a fantastic life decision. Headed ahead to East Carolina. Marcus Carroll was a stud last season who went out to Missouri. And then Robert Lewis to Auburn. I mean, they got rated, man. Let's be honest. They got absolutely rated. Those are their top. I mean, their offensive line too. I mean, Cunningham going to Virginia Tech. That was a very nice get. Yeah. I tend to think like it's going to be hard in year 1 to say they won the portal, especially when you came in. The portal was already closed when he came in for the first cycle. Right. They also lost a slew of guys to the FCS ranks as well. YouTube.com/the college experience. They added a bunch of quarterbacks though. Christian Vallejo is from originally he was a Penn State quarterback, transferred to Pitt. Yep. Then transferred to obviously Georgia State. Zach Gibson is a guy that played at Akron some, then went to Georgia Tech, and then a couple Middle Tennessee transfers. They just loaded up on quarterbacks, and then the running back spot, Jordan Ford, who I liked at I said USF, I meant Tulsa, played well at Tulsa there. CJ Beasley. Coming over from Coastal, as we alluded to, they did a great job considering, I guess they were already committed with Elliott. You know what I mean? They did a pretty good job considering that. What do you make of the quarterback spot though? Is it Vallejo that's going to start, or is it Gibson?
I would think. I mean, obviously, it just kind of depends on what they want to go with. I think Gibson is probably the better bet to me. But again, I mean, we don't know what they want to run. We don't know the tendencies. So if I had to pick, I would probably go with Gibson. What do you think?
I was thinking, I mean, I don't know, because he didn't look good when he's played. But I mean, I guess I never. Yeah, I think it's a toss up. I actually think it's a battle. So, Yeah, I don't know. I guess Gibson's older, so maybe
reps from what I've
yeah.
saw. Well, what I've read. I'm sorry.
Do you? How would you grade the portal though? I think they lost it, right?
Yeah. Overall, you got to be a loser when you lose that much. And like, just look at the schools that some of these guys are going to. I mean, you lost Granger, obviously. Carroll, Robert Lewis, both going to SEC schools and going to be probably impact players for those schools. You lose your tackle who at Virginia Tech, like you mentioned. Yeah, I think just up front, you don't return a lot. And we know they led the Sun Belt in rushing. So we know that offensive line can run block, but that was their bread and butter. Yeah, so I think overall a huge loss when you lose that much.
Yeah. I would say that the offense, I mean, they're talented though. Like Vallejo, I believe, was a big time recruit. So like maybe if that works out, if he comes in and plays really well, but yeah, I think the offensive side of the ball it's gonna be tough breaking in all this. I would say expect their numbers to regress.
Yeah.
Maybe the passing gets a little bit better. I don't know because maybe they commit to the pass more.
Yep.
As far as the defensive side of the ball, let's talk about that because the defensive side of the ball, they were 113th in scoring per game, 10th in the Sun Belt. They were 12th in yards, 14th in passing defense, dead last in the Sun Belt, 125th in total defense there. Or I'm sorry, in pass defense nationally. And they were 4th in the Sun Belt run defense wise. Man, I would say that is they got some work to do there.
Yeah.
They returned 5 starters on the defense, 2 in the secondary, 2 in the D line, 1 in the linebacking core. Punter Cade Loggins back. Special teams, it's good to go. Where are you at with this defense?
I'm gonna prove it kind of thing to me. I want to see them improve the pass defense. I like Jeremiah Johnson at safety, 74 tackles, 2 interceptions. Pringle is okay at corner, kind of a risk taker. Yeah, he had 4 INTs, but he got toasted on a number of plays. Linebacker Justin Abram is pretty good as well, 84 tackles, 8 tackles for loss. So I'm kind of in improve it. I just don't think that the depth will be there. So if they get banged up, on their original like 2 deep, it's going to be tough to kind of replace when you didn't have time to go in and get certain guys. So, I mean, I'm scared that after the first like bye, they might be on like walk-ons to be on like walk-ons or like it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Folks, going to talk more about the defensive side of the ball in a second and what they did in the portal. But I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. If you go 8-0, you can win 325 times your entry or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yes, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. Look, folks, we just dropped a Best Ball episode where we did a draft, a college football draft. I've never even heard of college football best ball until this year. Underdog killing it over there with that. They also just launched their season-long college football projections, higher or lower for your favorite college football players. I already gave one away that for the season totals there, essentially. LaQuint Allen, I took over, I think it was 800 and some yards. And I took the under on Riley Leonard just because the left tackle situation at Notre Dame. So get on over there. You can find edges you cannot find elsewhere. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right. We are back talking defense here. And in the portal, they got a little rated in the portal too. Javon Dennis heading out to Memphis. A lot of these are steps down though, but Brown going to the corner, going to Boston College was a big one. A lot of them going to the FCS ranks. Chris Smith, the NAU, a couple Jackson State guys. The defense wasn't, putting up great numbers, so they didn't come in as much, like the offensive side of the ball. I feel like every Power 5 school came in. They went out and got some guys. They went and got Katie McDaniel on the D line from UCF, Cam Williams from Jacksonville State. Look at that defensive line work they did right there. Let's just take every guy available in the defensive line. That's essentially what they did. Sir Mel's coming in from Utah State, Victor Brown from Louisville, Dorian Royal from the Black Bears of Maine, Bishop Thomas from Colorado, just a slew of talent. Sam McCall is one that was previously at Florida State, went to Texas A&M. Now he's at Georgia State. That's a nice get for this program. But man, is there a lot of moving pieces. Look at this. Kenyatta Watson coming in from Georgia Tech too. Like this is a slew of transfers. The question is, how fast can they gel? Do you think they'll put up better numbers than a season ago?
I think they will. I'm concerned, like I said, with just the injury front, because they don't have a ton of like proven production, and we don't know kind of what to expect. But some of the schools that are up there, I mean, they got a guy, Georgia, a couple of SEC schools. So talent wise, it's there. It's just how well can they mesh it together, and how quickly like can they get things going, because like they don't have a ton of time to get going, especially with the back end of their schedule. I know we're going to get to it, but they got to come out and establish themselves. And we know continuity is one of the biggest things in all sports. So they're in a tough spot, man. They're in a tough spot. I think they'll improve, but the record might not show it, or the metrics might not show it, but we'll see kind of the leaps that they'll be able to take in year 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to LFG in the chat. And shout out to Avetta, who thinks that it will be Vallejo that's starting there. Timothy Green also in the chat. Appreciate everyone. Losing Granger was huge. Shout out to Kenneth in the chat as well. Yeah, I tend to think that I actually think the defense will be better though, just mainly because I think the offenses in the Sun Belt got worse. Like all the coaching turnover. I feel like the offense and Grayson McCall's gone from Coastal. It's just like, I feel like, whether it's that or like I said, 3 or 4 new coaches in the conference, I think the defensive numbers will be better this season. Gonna talk win total, go game by game on the schedule. But before we do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, football season is here, and the college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model, or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most for you, and Rhythm builds a custom model around that, or let Rhythm and its predictive model do the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants. Look, Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. I like the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets getting 13 against Florida State in Dublin there. So hop on over there. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. By Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. If you don't have a trip booked yet for Vegas before football season, the ultimate contest weekend is a phenomenal time to go out. You can hang with my pals Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer from the Sports Gambling Podcast and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. Use the promo code SGP15 to save you 15% off your hotel room for sign-up weekend as well. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. And use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. All right, back talking Panther football. We talked about the defense. Seems to be a lot of moving parts. The offense, a lot of moving parts. The win total 4.5. Are you shocked by that number or not, Lante? Like, I mean, right away, this is a team that's been bowling 5 out of the last 6 years. I feel like it is, but the situation, 4.5. You think high, low, just on first reaction before diving into the schedule?
I think it's about right without kind of picturing the schedule. I mean, man, it's going to be tough. I don't think you can properly price it, to be honest, because you don't know what to expect. You have no data to go off of because you don't know what the regime is going to run. You don't know how well they're going to. You don't even know some of the players that might play. Like some of the players that we didn't highlight, those might be more impactful than the ones that we did because we simply don't know what's going on, behind the scenes. Obviously, we can read practice reports or whatever the case may be, but they're only going to give you so much, obviously. So, I think it's about right. 4.5. I think it's about right. 4.5, about right.
They're plus 5,000 to win the Sun Belt Championship, plus 30,000 to make the 12-team playoff, and plus 200,000 to win the Natty. The schedule. Who made this schedule?
Somebody who wanted to beat Georgia Southern really bad because they got their bye before and their bye after. So they want that Georgia. If they don't win that Georgia Southern game, that AD should be fired.
I've been doing this for a long time. All right. Talking college football for 7 years, and I've been a fan my whole fucking life. I can never recall a time where a team goes on the road for an entire month, let alone 5 away games in 6 weeks. What the fuck is this?
Against top tier Sunbelt teams. This is not like the bottom of the Sunbelt. This is the top of the Sunbelt.
This is why the dude quit. And the Sunbelt, Sean Elliott quit because the schedule came out in the Sunbelt, and he's like, "What the fuck?" It's like, "What am I got family." It's like, I'm go. This is like the Rolling Stones in the '60s tour schedule. This is like, what? I'm going to be in West Virginia, then North Carolina, then Connecticut, then Virginia, then I got to go to Texas. Weeks. It's insane. Week 1, they head to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech at Bobby Dodd. I actually think this is a sneaky spot to get them because they're coming back from Dublin. And if you haven't been to Europe, that shit fucks with you when you come back. You're like biological clock there or whatever. What internal clock, not biological. It's all messed up. And I still think you got to take Tech though, because Georgia State lost everybody. Like before, I was thinking this is an upset spot. What are you doing here? I got them 0-1.
Listen, I'll take the points but this is a sneaky game, especially excuse me. If I know you've said it numerous times in the reads, you think Georgia Tech is live in that game, and I do too. I think they're live in that game. If Georgia Tech wins that game, I think Georgia State upsets them. I really do.
Yeah.
But for the sake of FSU, kind of winning, I'll go 0-1. But if Zach Gibson's going, that's a revenge game for him. The element of surprise, we saw what happened with GJ Kinney going down to Baylor. Obviously, 2 different situations, but it's kind of giving me that kind of vibe.
Well, week 2 they get Chattanooga. Watch out! Chattanooga won 8 games in the FCS last year. Almost made the FCS playoffs. Came down to the final game of the season.
Good program.
I think they'll get Chattanooga, but I think it's a game.
Yeah.
So I got them 1-1. Yeah, I got them 1-1. What do you got them?
Yeah, I got them 1-1 as well.
And then they're home to Vandy. Of all the years to get Vandy, I got them 1-2. I got Vandy winning this. You?
Yeah. Diego Pavia might go crazy on them here.
Yeah.
And this is probably and that's probably one of the only games that Vanderbilt might win, so they're going to be up for it.
And then they get these 2 bye weeks out of 3 weeks. What the fuck is this schedule, man? Georgia Southern. This is the dumbest schedule I've ever seen. Georgia Southern comes into on the 28th. I'll take Georgia Southern. They're always good in September, I feel like, and they fade out under Clay Helton. But I got them 1-3 after October 5th.
I got them 2-2. I think they get.
You got them getting Southern.
I got them getting. I mean, it's obviously like
they focused on
our face. They want this game. They want this game. It's obvious they want it. And I think the bye kind of, you get that 3-game stretch and you get a bye, so you got time to kind of heal up, get refocused, which is fine. But then you got the bye directly after Georgia Southern, which is idiotic. Like,
yeah, I mean, this schedule's a nightmare. Then they're home to Old Dominion, which is winnable. That's a winnable game.
It is.
I'll give them a second game there. They beat Old Dominion after that second bye. You got to beat ODU?
I got them beating ODU. That might be their last win, man.
I was about to say, then you start this crazy road trip. At Marshall, loss. At App State, loss. At UConn, loss. At JMU, loss. Another thing is they're all going to be cold. This is a horrible schedule spot. Like, I've never seen anything like this. 4 straight losses, in my opinion. I'm sorry that Dell's got to walk into this, but yeah. And then your final teams, I do have them losing out, man. After
I got 6 straight losses.
That's what I'm saying. Me too. Like, they're not going to be favored in any of those. and the battle that it's going to do to you. I'm on the under, and I feel pretty damn good about it.
I got him I got him beating Coastal at home though, so I got him getting to 4. I got him getting 2-4.
Man, I think it's a 2 or 3 win team, man.
I think that's possible as well. I think 4 is their ceiling.
That schedule's insane. That schedule's absolutely insane, folks. I actually think I might even bet this. I think I might bet this one. I think the higher is going to work out. You just got to give him time. It does not take. Yeah, Robert Martin, I would jump all over that under. That schedule is the dumbest fucking schedule I've ever seen. All right. Just give the guy a chance here. Give your team a chance here. Doesn't matter who's coaching. Yeah. I'm taking the under too. Lock it up. Yeah. And I don't think you touch anything else on this slate. I think the under is going to hit here. That's our show. I mean, that's insane. What's the best case scenario is what? 4. Chattanooga. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I can't.
They gave themselves just a terrible schedule, man. Yeah, 2 bye weeks in I
mean, I guess Arkansas State. If you think if like Rayner isn't good and Butch Jones is maybe gone, maybe that's winnable. But I mean, to be honest with you, I have them winning Georgia Southern and ODU. I can see them losing both of those games. Yeah,
I could too. That's what I'm saying. I can see Chattanooga beating them. That's like I think Chattanooga's that's a good FCS. Yeah, lock it up. Give me the under all day.
Yeah, lock it up. Yeah, lock it up.
Folks, make sure you lock it up and give Lante a follow on Twitter at XXLanteXX. Check out the NBA Gambling Podcast, the MLB Gambling Podcast, and of course his great college football content he's writing over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Also check out us on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience, the home for all of our stuff, the college basketball experience, the college baseball experience, the Stadium Heads podcast. We give Center Park Stadium some love. Check it out over there. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. All right. Lock up the under on Georgia State. Whoever scheduled this needs to be fired. This is the college football experience, Georgia State style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.